you're familiar with the ability to stretch objects using either dynamic hotspots or the special parameters A or B, such as this object or this object. But do you know about setting up regular increments to your object so that when you stretch, your object snaps to those set increments, such as with this turnstile object? Where the passage width determines the increment, or this bike racks object, where the spacing determines the increment. When I stretch the length, it will snap to those increments. How do you make an object behave like that? G'day, I'm Bruce from Barking Dog BIM, and I'm here to make Archicad bark for you. In this tutorial, we're going to create this object, nice and simple, to show you how to establish this snapping behavior for yourself, where the spacing determines the snapping increment and your overall width determines the count of your blocks. Let's build the dumb version first. We'll start a new object, file, libraries and objects, new object. We'll leave it as a model element subtype. I'll throw in some starter code into the 4 scripts we will be using. In the master script, set up the unique ID I'll be using in Hotspots. In the 2D script, a project to command for development only so that we can see 3D projected in the plan, something to look at. In the 3D script, just my axes object as a reference, refer to episode 28. And in the parameter script, setting the top and bottom levels. Refer episode 63 if you want to know what they are. And we'll just set up some basic parameters. Number of blocks as an integer type, block width and spacing width as length types, geosurface as a surface, pens as pens, and our fill type as a fill type, with some default values in place. Let's also set up some parameter limitations in our parameter script, like so, and we can see the effect of those limitations. Yeah, all right, we'll save our object to our sandbox library and place it in the floor plan. At the moment, nothing to see except the axes. So I'll just set up the basic loop. First of all, set my pen and my fill, and then we'll set up a for loop. So we'll set our counter, our increment counter as iBlock, and it will start at 1 and it will go to our block number, so in this case 3. Then we'll go to a subroutine, generic block, I haven't written that yet, and then we add our spacing width to go to the next spot, loop back, draw our block, add a space, loop back, draw our block until we're done, and then we delete our transformations. The subroutine has to be after your end command. It looks like this. Just a simple poly2 statement, drawing our 4 coordinate points of our block, drawing a hotspot in the middle, and hot lines around the edges so that I can snap to them. We'll save that. And here is our block. Hotspots in the middle, hot lines around the edge. Well, that's the basics in place, but it's a little bit clunky to use. We don't want to have to open up the parameters every time we need to change something. So if I want to change the number of blocks, or if I want to change the spacing, and so on. We want it to be a little bit more intuitive than that. This way is a little bit too disruptive to our workflow. So we'll set up key dynamic hotspots. The first one for the spacing. That's easy. I'll call a subroutine before we get into the loop. And it looks like this. I'll just add the cursor to the top of the block for my stretchy hotspot to set the spacing. And if you want to know what all this means, refer to episode 35. Let's save that one. There it is. Now when I drag that, the spacing changes. Good stuff. Next, we'll set up a hotspot for the overall width, or run. For now, I'll use the special built-in parameter of A for that, which is this parameter here, or this parameter here. Later, I'll show you why you might want to replace that with your own parameter. And that's that hotspot there. Save that, and here it is here. At the moment, these controls aren't talking to each other. Adjusting the spacing doesn't affect the overall width. Adjusting the overall width doesn't change the block count, nor does it snap to the increments we want. So this magic is done in the parameter script. And we'll start with the block count, which is controlled by the overall width. We only want this aspect of the script to run when the parameter is changed. So we use the global variable glob modpar name, which returns the name of the parameter that's just been modified. Global modified parameter name. If the overall width has changed, we want to recalculate the number of blocks in our object. So if the global modified parameter name is A, then our block number equals our overall width divided by our spacing width. That'll give us a fractional result. We want an integer result, a nice round number. So we use the int function to chop off those decimals, and then we add 1 to deal with the last block. That's that. Now this calculation only exists in the parameter script. If we want the other scripts to be able to use it, we need to push that calculation back up to the parameter set using the parameters command. This command doesn't like complex calculations, so you just do a 1-for-1 exchange. Save that. Let's have a look. In order for changes in the parameter script to take effect, I need to run the parameter script, which is changing our parameter. So let's drag that. Right, well that works. So it's changing the number of blocks based on the overall width. But it's not snapping to a nice, neat increment. We don't want this out somewhere where it doesn't make any sense. So we add another calculation to our parameter script. We've calculated our number of blocks or iterations in our loop. Now we want to take that and work out our overall width, which is this calculation here. So number of blocks minus 1 multiplied by our spacing width. And again, this calculation just exists in the parameter script, so we want to push that back up to our parameter set. We can use the same parameters command, we just put in a comma to add more parameters. Save that, run the parameter script by changing a parameter. And there it is, it's snapped to a nice neat increment. A is updating neatly, and the hotspot is operating as desired. That's the overall width. But what if we change the spacing or the number of blocks? This hotspot hasn't been updated, so we need to link that in as well. So we want this update to happen if the global modified parameter name is the spacing width, or if it's the number of blocks. That's when we'll do our calculation. This is the calculation, which is the same as what we use up here. We're now calculating the same width in multiple places. So let's clean that up and move that into the main body of the script. Now this logic won't work in every object you do, but in this one, it's simple enough that it does. We'll save, run the parameter script. Now when I change my spacing, the overall width updates to suit. If I change the number of blocks, the overall width has updated to suit. So now they're all connected. Change one, the others change as well. Now remember earlier when I used A for this overall width parameter, a minor issue with that is if you want to be able to drag to a single instance, like I can do with this bike racks object. I can drag down to only one instance and my total width is 0. You'll notice I can't do that with this object. If I drag back and try and get past the first spacing, it just snaps back. It won't let me get to 0. And that's because it's linked to the special parameter of A. Now I can set it manually, 0, and I can set the number of blocks to 1, but I can't stretch it. And that's just a built-in function of this parameter. If you want to be able to drag to a single instance, then you'll need to use a substitute parameter. I'm going to use this parameter overall run. So I exchange A out with this parameter, both in my parameter script and in my 2D hotspot. It's working as per the A command, but now I can set it to 0. You can go past 0, which doesn't work very well. So you just set up a limitation in your parameter script so it can't go below 0. There we go, behaving as expected. And to tidy, I only want this spacing hotspot to show when there's 2 or more blocks showing. So a simple conditional statement here. Now I've only shown you the 2D script in this tutorial, as the logic is the hard part. Once you've got it working, it's a pretty straightforward exercise to copy this into your 3D script. Change your fill to a material command. Change your transformations to 3D transformations. Your hotspots to 3D hotspots that have 3 coordinates, not just 2. And your poly2 command to a prism command with the relevant status codes. Don't really need hotlines in 3D. And there's our 3D object behaving like the 2D one. To recap, the trick is not in the hotspots. The hotspots are just there for user interface. The real magic happens in the parameter script, where we convert the dragged width into a valid number of iterations, then rebuild the overall width from that result. That's what creates the snapping behavior. Easy peasy. That's Archicad barking for you. Go script something.